There's nothing much for me to really say. The Houston Rockets have won 10 straight games, so we're gonna dive right into the episode. We cut right to it. Let's go.
All right, y'all heard Brad in the introduction. The Rockets have won 10 straight games in a row. And I'm going to put you on the spot off the rips, Brad. Do you know the last time the Rockets have won 10 straight games? I feel like that's something that you looked up today.
Yeah. So 2017, 2018
That was my
season,
guess.
the Rockets won 11 games in a row. They won 17 games in a row, lost a game, then won 11 games in a row right after that. But those two 10-game winning streaks were the last 10-game winning streaks the Rockets had. And before I kick it back to Will, I had a bunch of technical difficulties today, so I'm coming to y'all with the with the messed up camera quality.
We
But
get
the
this episode out
Rockets,
by all means, man.
yeah, we had to get this episode out. The Rockets, they don't win 10 straight games for the first time in 6 years. So, Will and I are excited to that. I'm going to kick it back to him.
Yeah. So, like Brad said, 10 straight games. I figured that the last time we probably crossed that threshold was that special team in 2018.
The special team, man.
I'm about to shed a tear. But yeah, 10 straight games. And this tonight's win, I think, is the most impressive of them all. I think it's the most impressive win we've had this month. And I'd even argue to you this has been the most impressive win they've had since hitting the rebuild. I think that there's a lot we can take away from this win that we're going to break down today's episode. We'll talk about that. Talk about how Jalen Green looked every bit of a superstar tonight and just absolutely willed the Rockets to a win tonight. We're going to talk about that. Talk about how Thompson, who has been continuing to impress everybody. I think he was the second best player on the floor tonight. He kind of played the number 2 to Jalen Green's number 1 tonight, and I think we saw it work really, really well. We're going to talk about that. And just kind of what the playoff implications mean, playing implications mean for the Houston Rockets moving forward as we kind of chase the Golden State Warriors. So, start it all off right. Brad, like you said, 10 games in a row. What are your thoughts on this big number 10 right now?
Yeah, so at a certain point in time, the Houston Rockets were sitting at 25 and 34. And here they are now, 37 and 35. After this past February, the Rockets they won 25% of their games in February. So for them to come out the gates 12-1 in March, looking like this, beating some solid competition, and not only that, you have the emergence of Jalen Green, who, in my opinion, has had one of the craziest in-season turnarounds I've ever seen a player have. He went from players putting him in trade talks, from Ime Udoka consistently benching him in the middle of third quarters and to never see the floor again, to looking like the definition of a star. Like, you cannot deny what you have been seeing from this kid. He looks like a star. He just went out there today against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a game that the Houston Rockets needed if they wanted to make a play-in push. And he was going out there and getting buckets by all means. Shot 14 to 24 from the field, 37 points, 10 rebounds, had 7 assists, hit 7 threes on his 11 attempts. And he literally made the right basketball play, it seemed like, every time he had the ball in his hands. Will and I were watching the game together. He was saying, get the ball to Jalen Green. And I was not mad at him. And they put the ball in his hands and good things happened. It wasn't just him putting up shots. He was making the right reads. He was facilitating. He was maneuvering his way through double teams and hitting Michael Jordan-esque layups. Hit 2 in this past game. And man, like, it feels so good to see this kid become the guy who he was drafted to be. They gave us perennial scoring champion. That's who Jalen Green is, and that's who we have been seeing during this stretch. And again, this is a complete basketball player. Ime Udoka has been turning this kid into. He's played the full 72 games so far, on pace for the full 82. And it's very impressive what he's putting together without missing a single game this season. So hopefully he keeps it up. We've been preaching consistency this whole season. And this entire month, he's been more than consistent. He's been the definition of a star. So the winning streak is great, Will. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just Jalen Green. It's Thompson, who put up 25 and 15 today. Thompson, who's averaging a double-double as a starter. Jabari Smith-Jr. hitting 2 clutch threes today, even after having an off game for the most part. They're doing this without Operation Shangoon. They're 4-1 with Shangoon this month. Again, we've talked about this on the pod. They're not just winning because Shangoon's not playing. There is some more spacing, yes, but when the Rockets get Shangoon back, when they get Tari Eason back, when they get Cam Whitmore back, this team is going to be an issue. So I'm excited.
Yeah, 10 straight, I got my wish, right? Whether we make the play-in tournament or not, which I think we're definitely going to be in the running for, but we have a tough schedule coming up, and the Warriors somehow, some way beat the Heat and then beat the Magic. I just knew they were going to lose both these games. They somehow won both. So even if we fall short, right? Even if the Warriors continue to win and we just can't catch them, to me, I think this season has been nothing short of a success so far. And I got my wish. My wish was just that we were playing meaningful basketball in the month, like to end the season. In the month of March, the month of April, right? In the last really 3 seasons now, right? Since we traded James Harden, come March, it's shut down the vets and give whatever young talent we have on this roster, some of which may not even be NBA talent, right? Just give those guys as much burn as possible because we're tanking, we're trying to lose games, we're trying to get the highest draft odds. And when you're a rebuilding team, that's the right strategy, right? Bottom out, move all your vets, get assets, and then tank for a high draft pick so you can bring in a talented young player. But when you have a bunch of those talented young pieces accumulated, at a certain point in time, that switch has to get flipped, and you just can't keep, what I'm saying, just punting every March, punting every April, and then hoping that you're just one day you're gonna wake up champion. You take like the steps to do that. And so for me, I just want to see the Houston Rockets, whether we make the play tournament or not, which I believe, especially if we were healthy, I think we absolutely in the play tournament. But given all the injuries, I'm fine. If we don't make it because we win 40 games, but Golden State wins 45 and gets into I can't be mad at that. We're playing games that matter. We're playing games that mean something. These are like all of the games we played this month have been must-win games. There's not been a single game where we can this is the night off. What I'm saying, catch your breath, take a night off. No, like these are games. Not to over quantify what a regular season game is, but I mean, man, these are like playoff games for the Houston Rockets. That's how important they are. They are do or die games, and I think we saw that atmosphere tonight. I think the Houston Rockets definitely felt the pressure going into Oklahoma City to walk away with a win on the road in a must-win environment, right? The Warriors did win today, so if we want to kind of stay on the Warriors next, we have to win as well, right? We keep going, keep winning. And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I was watching the quick playback plug. Not gonna lie, bro. It started off really good, got kind of grim in the middle, and we are like, did we let this one go? Did we let it slip? But then Jalen Green absolutely took over. And I guess we can kind of transition into just talking about Jalen Green. For me, like I think we talked about it in the we first talked about it in the playback, we talked about it in the post game space. I think that this was Jalen Green's best game of his career. Like I think bar none, this was his best game. I know that like statistically speaking, you can probably go find another game, probably even from this season alone, where he's had more points or more rebounds or more assists or his box score might pop a little bit more. But to me, that doesn't matter, right? Because what I watched from Jalen Green tonight, he didn't just fill up the stat sheet, which he did. I think he said, 37, 10, and 7 off the top of my head, I believe was his.
Yeah, and 7 threes.
Yeah. So like he had a very complete game in the box score total. But one, it was a two-way game. I think Jalen Green has been playing some phenomenal defense this entire month. He's turned in some of his best defensive performances as of recently. And I think tonight we saw him perform at a high level defensively. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. In terms of perimeter defenders, hot take, I think he was the second best perimeter defender on the court tonight for the Rockets, outside of Amin Thompson. I think he was better defensively today than Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. But more, like I said, the most important part to me was that when this team needed Jalen Green, this wasn't all right, we're spoon feeding you 40 points. Like in the past, there have been games where like Jalen Green went off because the whole offense was just get Jalen Green the ball. Let's what I'm saying, let him get numbers. Like, nah, this wasn't that. This was like we needed those points. This is like we're giving Jalen the ball, like save us from drowning, Jalen Green. And he did that. And he did it against a team that knew that's what we wanted to do and were selling out to stop that very thing and couldn't do it. And to me, it's like to do that and to the end result is a win for the Houston Rockets. I think this is the best game he's ever played. I'll quickly highlight some of the plays he had. Like you talked about, Brad, he had the clutch Michael Jordan up and under. He had the very clutch three, in overtime, little snatchback three. But I think the biggest play that I think he made two of the biggest plays he made today had nothing to do with him scoring the basketball. The first play was when was the Jabari three that sent the game, or Well, actually, I didn't send the game OT, but they put us up three, and then Jalen Williams went on to send OT. But whatever, right? The corner three that Jabari hit, right? The reason that three was so wide open is because the defense, their entire game plan today, like I said, was stop Jalen Green. And this is like the fourth or fifth game in a row now where the opposing team's game plan is we don't care what anybody else does, just don't let Jalen Green score. And so the Thunder's game plan today was do not let Jalen Green score. And so when he drove the ball, he acknowledged that they're still going to stop you. Kick out to Jabari wide open in the corner. Trust your teammate. Jabari comes through, makes a three. That's I know people are like that's an easy pass. Like it is what it is because there's nothing too crazy about it. But that's not a pass that everyone makes. That's not and that's for damn sure not a pass that Jalen Green was making a year or two ago. He was not making that pass a couple of seasons ago. So to see him kind of evolve his game to acknowledge I have gravity, defenses respect me, and I can take advantage of that pass out to my teammates, man, that's superstar stuff to me. You know what I'm saying? That's real big. He made the right basketball play and it worked, right? In the second play that I want to touch on is in overtime. And this is like Jalen Green didn't touch the basketball here. And I thought that he did like it was him. In overtime, when Fred VanVleet was inbounding the ball and Amin Thompson kind of broke away for the dunk to kind of seal it. Like that was kind of when we're like, okay, we might have won this one. Um, that play was between Fred and Amin, but the reason Amin Thompson was so wide open is because every person wearing a Thunder uniform was trying to make sure Jalen Green didn't touch the basketball. That's why there was five guys watching one person, and that resulted in Amin Thompson being completely unguarded. And like I said, Jalen didn't touch the basketball there, but just the gravity of him as a player, his ability to score and make a play for others, like that scared the Thunder so much they left somebody wide open and it cost them the game. So yeah, for me, like I said, I think this is up there for this is the best game Jalen Green's ever played. Aside, a shout out Aside, he made a really good point in the space, and I'll pass it back off to Brad. He made a really good point about how we said this exact same speech about Alperen Şengün. I think it was like December, whenever that Pelicans game was. I forgot which game that
It
was.
was December, yeah.
December. Okay, my memory is not that bad. You know what I'm saying? Back in December, when Alperen Şengün in a very similar way carried the Rockets to a win, where like we needed the win, and the Pelicans' defensive game plan was stop Şengün. We don't care who else scores, stop that guy, and it didn't work. And they like I was saying, like that was some James Harden level of like unguardableness. Like we hadn't seen something like that in a very long time. I just watched it again from another guy, and they're both 22 and under, right? Isn't Jalen's 22, Şengün's 21? These guys
Şengün turns 22 in July. It's a young team. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And there have been multiple games from Şengün, and this is now Jalen kind of emerging in that front on his own way, where we're watching, like I said, teams in must-win environments sell out to stop one of our players, and it didn't work, and we still won. And so for me, it's like, can you imagine? I know people keep trying to like make it seem like there's a correlation. Can you imagine what it's gonna be like if you have two of those guys that defense at 22 and under, you have two guys who defenses have said we're going to stop you from scoring. We don't care what nobody else does. You just can't score the basketball. We have two of those guys now, and like I don't know. So I don't know, Brian. What you think about that Jalen Green game?
Yeah, I mean, again, like it is the best game of his career. Like from again, it's not just looking at pure statistics, even though the statistics tell you 37-10, 7 with 7 threes on only 11 attempts. But yeah, no, he's just playing all around good basketball as a whole. So no, you put it on the money, bro. Like they were doubling him. He's been getting doubled this entire month, and he's been doing really well, navigating that. He's hitting Jock, when he's coming up to get the ball, and Jock's able to make a high IQ basketball play. And yeah, he's just making a lot of good reads. You mentioned it. He attacked the basket late in the game, defense clapped, and he found Jabari for a wide open three to ice the game at the time. And then, they came down and hit three. But no, just he's processing everything at an elite level right now. And more importantly, he's playing good defensively. So, yeah, I don't. You can't watch this and not be excited about this kid. In the future. Yeah, you can be a person who was upset about Jalen's play, and it's understandable if you were upset about Jalen's play because again, at a time there was a point where a lot of the people in his fan base wanted him traded, and he probably still leads the league in games from players who shot under 40%, and that's the reason why people were upset. But we have seen none of that this month, again, this month, well, I've seen nothing but a star. I want to say superstar. Like this month, we're looking at superstar esque play. Like that's the way I want to put it. So yeah, like I have nothing else to say about that game. Like, that's the best game I've seen him play. Like a high stake game. Leading up to the game, I'll say, you can look at any interview he's had. He said, "Yeah, we're going for the play-in. Yeah, we're going for the playoffs. We're going for the play-in." And he meant that. He was even watching the games from the Warriors these past two games. He's locked in. Like he's trying to see what they're doing. Oh, they're not taking care of business. Bet I'll make sure we take care of business. So, yeah, this kid, he's got that. This is also what we wanted when he got drafted. They said he had that. It was the mentality. He had that killer mentality, and we're finally starting to see it. Year three at the very end. We were worried in the first half of year three, and now we're seeing what we thought. He was going to be when he was drafted. So yeah, I mean that's all I got to say about that Jalen Green game. Was there any other players you wanted to touch on?
I want to talk about Amin, but I want to touch on one thing about Jalen before
Yeah,
I jump to Amin.
yeah, yeah.
You talked about the transition he made. I'm not an NBA historian, so I don't know the game from like I started watching basketball intimately in like the early 2010s. So like what I'm saying, I don't really know too much about what happened like in the 90s or the 80s like that. But from what I've watched and just through my limited knowledge, I can't think of too many times where someone within the same season went from, and I mean this with no disrespect intended, just factually speaking, Jalen was one of, if not the worst starter in the entire NBA for a large chunk of the season. And like I said, that was reflected in the fact that in crunch time, Ime Udoka benched Jalen Green plenty times this year. Like there was times where like probably a point in the season where he was getting benched more times than not in crunch time. It was kind of just what we were used to at that point in time. And to go from unplayable when the game matters to being the sole reason, or I wouldn't say the sole reason because like I'm gonna talk about him in Thompson, but being one of the biggest reason why your team won and like putting on these all around genuine superstar esque performances. I'm not sure we've ever seen someone go from that in the same season. We've seen people do it, from a season or two, jump from each other, but within the same 82 game season, I don't know. I can't think of any example. I'll tell me. Maybe y'all can let us know in the comments if you can think of some I'm forgetting. But I can't think of anyone within the same 82 game season who had a jump like that. Um, but yeah, I don't know, Brad. You want anything else about Jalen before we moved on to Amin? Okay,
No, man,
all
the
right.
jump is crazy, like you mentioned. Best in season leap I've seen personally with my own eyes. Again, in the comments, let us know if we're missing someone. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right. So to Amin Thompson, because I know a lot of people were trying to say, and I was somewhat guilty to myself of saying like it was just Jalen tonight because the vets Fred kind of had an off night. Dylan had an off night. He hit some clutch buckets in overtime. Jabbar had an off night. Hit the clutch three in the corner. But like it's a totality. A lot of the guys who we kind of are used to stepping up tonight didn't really step up, and up until I guess it mattered the most apparently. Um, but the one guy who did have Jalen Green's back the whole night. Shout out to Amin Thompson. And if you're someone who's been, a fan of the show, the podcast, if you kept up with me on Spaces and whatnot, y'all know I have been like singing the praises for Amin Thompson the whole way through, man. And like I know people have been in the comments. I said I was going to address this the next time we got behind the camera. The speak about Brandon Miller, talk about Brandon Miller. I I don't have to, and I'm not going to. And the reason why I'm not going to is because if you watch what Amin Thompson is doing, and you've been like if you've kept up with what he's done this season, you understand why I was so high on him and why I wanted him in the Rockets uniform above anything else. Like Brandon Miller, I never said he was trash, never said he was a bust. He's going to be a great player. I think he's what Charlotte needed next to LaMelo Ball. I think that duo has the potential if they can stay healthy to be really good in this NBA. I think Brandon Miller can be an all-star, a multiple time all-star in this league for sure. But what this Rockets team needed, I think we needed a floor general. We need someone with some high IQ. We needed someone with some upper echelon star power to him. And I think each night that Amin Thompson plays, especially since he's been inserted into the starting lineup, we're starting to see more and more of what he's capable of. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like we still haven't seen everything because if you watch like his film in OTE, there's been a lot of like we haven't even experienced on ball Amin yet, and how creative and how crazy he gets with the ball. And we haven't even seen that yet. It's a whole other level of his game that hasn't even been tapped into yet. And he's already this good offers. We've been talking about that on the show a lot about how he's in my opinion, I think Brasher's the same one that he's the best defender on the team. I think we saw that tonight when Ime Udoka gave him the assignment of Jalen Williams, who was the go-to option for the Thunder in SGA's absence. Which, by the way, I want to talk about the SGA stuff, and we'll talk about that next. But yeah, we saw him draw the Jalen Williams assignment in SGA's absence. He was active on the boards. That I think he had 15. I should have pulled the number.
15. Yeah, he had 15.
Was it 25 and 15, Brad?
Yeah, 25 and 15, had 6 offensive rebounds. Like
And he had
that's
4 assists, I believe. Yeah, 25, 15, and 4. A steal. He was a plus 10, 61 true TS, 10 of 18 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He hit a very like clutch, kind of like turnaround meaty in the fourth quarter. I think that's what kept us alive. If he misses that shot,
they lose the game.
yeah, I think we lose if he doesn't make that shot. So, yeah, like he was phenomenal today. He's been phenomenal all season. I don't know if you guys have saw. I know Brad tweeted about. I tweeted about. He's now up to number 4 on the Rookie of the Year ladder, only behind Wemby, Shet, and Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's gonna catch. No one's catching Wemby. Let's start there. Like, no, Wemby's gonna get Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's gonna catch Shet or B Mill. Not because I think they're necessarily better, although Shet has been really good, and so has B Mill. I think the biggest difference is that those guys have more games played and they've been able to do it for a long stretch of time than Amin has because, Amin did get hurt and got sick at the beginning of the season. But in terms of pure player production, hot take, I'd argue that he's just as good, if not better, than Brandon Miller right now. I'd argue that to you right now. I think the advanced numbers would back that. All the numbers suggest that we play a whole lot better with him on the court than we don't play with him on the court. Like I said, he came through big time today for Jalen. A lot of Jalen's assists and the laps in the defense that he created were beneficiary to Amin Thompson. Those guys, you see, they're kind of working on their chemistry and getting better at connecting in that facet. So yeah, I wanted to make sure we showed Amin Thompson some love because everybody's been talking about Jalen Green, rightfully so. But Amin Thompson was, like I said, in my opinion, the second best player on the court for the Houston Rockets tonight. He was huge for the team. I think if he doesn't hit the shot that he hit in the fourth quarter, I think we lose. I think without his defense, we lose. People were kind of giving him some hell for, he had a defensive mistake on Jalen Williams at the end of the game. But I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, I think he's been so good so soon that we forget this kid is just a rookie and he's going to make simple mistakes like that every now and then. I think he still got a decent contest, and Jalen Williams just hit a really tough shot. Like, you live with that. You know what I'm saying? That is what it is. And he for sure made up for it in overtime and throughout the whole game. So wanted to make sure we showed Amin Thompson some love. Brad, what you think about that Amin Thompson performance?
Yeah, Amin Thompson, again, in general, he's been playing really good basketball as a whole. Double-double machine, is averaging a double-double as a starter. So for him, again, he excels. Again, offensive rebounds, had 6 tonight, and not even that. His finishing has been very, very impressive. So for him to go from a point guard at OTE to transforming into a role of being primarily a screen and roller or a guy who's off ball in the corner is able to crash and be in the right dunker spot and get some buckets for himself or even just dominate in transition. That's the ways Ben Thompson has been excelling. And just for him to change his game and just be an impact on the court in any way possible because the defense is there. We've spoken about it. One of the best guard defenders in the league right now statistically. Just for him to produce like this on offense, 25 and 15, like as a rookie, like a rookie like supposed guard, you have to be excited about that. And we say it time and time and time again. That little turnaround fade he hit, I really liked it. His brother Sar, he hits that shot from time to time. So if a man can even just do that, anything outside of the paint, like even like a floater, a midi, that's going to elevate his game to the next level. And I want to commend him for hitting his free throws. He was 5 of 6 today, and he's shooting over 80% this month from the free throw line on a good volume because and a player that athletic is going to hit the rim and he's going to get fouled because he's got the hang time to adjust his shot midair and draw contact. So if he's hitting those free throws, that's a good sign. I'm hoping that's transferable to maybe a mid-range shot and potentially a three-point shot. But yeah, no, even without the three-point shot, this man is extremely impactful. So it's been fun to watch from my man Thompson. By far was the second best Rocket today. He's only 21. And yeah, like this team just has so many guys where you can say he's only so and so age. And yeah, it's just a lot of guys with a ton of untapped potential. So yeah, excited about that Ben Thompson game. He played really good defense, stuffed the stat sheet. They don't win that game without him tonight. So it was very enjoyable. So yeah, I gotta give him his flowers.
Yeah. I wanted to briefly talk about the whole SGA thing. I think people were trying to say, like, this win didn't count because SGA didn't play. It's like, man, we were without Shingun, Tari, Cam.
Yeah,
The Thunder are still a really good team, even without SGA, right? They still have Jalen Williams. They still had Shet, who was a complete non-factor today. I also want to like shout out Ime Udoka just because I think that the team defense we played today was phenomenal. I think the offensive execution could have been a bit better, but in terms of just being all in one accord defensively and being sound on that front, I thought they did a really good job of that, especially in that first quarter. So yeah, man, like I don't really want to hear the whole SGA wasn't there. Like this was we were the underdogs coming into this game. They're still a really good team without SGA. This is, like I said, in my opinion, the best win we've had. This is a statement win, in my personal opinion. We haven't had one of those in a very long time. So
yeah. I would say this is definitely the only other one I would put maybe over this is the game they beat Denver on the road.
yeah,
They're still the only team I believe to beat Denver um, at their home place when they have their big four of Jamal Murray,
yeah.
Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and I'm probably missing someone else, but
MPJ.
and MPJ. The Rockets are the only team to beat them in that era. At their home place, and they did it this year. That was the
I
first
would
road
say
win
Jalen had a good game that game too, didn't
he
he?
did.
I know both him and Shingun did, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
So yeah. So, but this one right here, that was the most high stake game they've played again since the 2020 playoffs against the Lakers. and they won. So I'm not trying to hear again. We're down half our young core. They were missing, of course, SGA and check on foul trouble. So OT Rockets had to take care of business, and they did. But yeah, no, a win is a win. 10 in a row is 10 in a row. No matter how you slice it, it's only the 10th time in franchise history the Rockets have had a 10-game winning streak. So I'm hoping they extend it to 11 against Utah. It will be extended to 11. I'm telling y'all right now. Then hopefully 12 against Dallas. If they get to
That's gonna
12
be
on
tough.
Dallas, 13 on April 4th, we will be seated against the Golden State Warriors because that's going to be the game of the year. So that's all I necessarily have to say for this podcast. But Jalen Green,
Yeah.
again, looking like a star. Thompson, sky's the limit. Ken Whitmore can be coming back soon. So I'm just excited to see how this team gels, for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's amazing to see this team go 12-1 so far in March.
I'll just add one final thing before shut it down. Like Brad said, playing tournament's right there. The Warriors did win tonight, so we're still, I believe, just what is this point? No, we're actually a whole game behind them.
Yeah,
But like you can't, I'm not gonna. You control what you can control, and what you can control is winning who's in front of you. You did that. You did your job, right? So I'm not going to be tripping on that. But the last thing I want to add though was just simply that, like, it's about to get so scary in Houston, bro. Because like Brian said, we're bringing back Alperen Sengun, who I think unanimously should be viewed as our best player for the totality of the season. I think Jalen Green is making it a conversation in the season, but see totality, Sengun was the best player. So then we're going to bring back our best player next to this new version of Jalen Green. Tari Eason, who in my opinion was, you could argue he was as best as the third best player on this team when he was healthy and playing, especially in terms of impact. We're bringing him back. Cam Whitmore was someone who we had, it's the running joke in the playback room that if he comes in with 3 minutes left, he's gonna put up 4 shots, right? He's someone who's like the definition of instant offense. It's not taking long to put up shots and get on the scoreboard, right? So we're bringing back someone who is instant offense. He's gonna be in year two. He's gonna be a bit more refined in year two. We're bringing him back immensely better in year two. Jalen's going to get into year four, but hopefully we'll start seeing more of that actual leap from him. Um, Steven Adams is a backup big, and Jock Lando, who, we didn't show too much love on this episode. Jock Lando continued to play really good basketball this entire month. So, now we have some optionality at the backup center position. Are you going to go with Landale? Are you going to go with Adams? Do you want to trade one, trade both? Like, you have some options there. And then the cherry on top of everything we're going to be bringing back is we have, I believe it's sitting at number 9 right now, the Brooklyn Nets pick. So we're having a top 10
it's
pick.
at eight right now.
It's 8, right? Even
Yeah.
better, right? You have, and I believe mathematically it's probably not going to drop any lower than 9. I think that's kind of with where the East is shaking up right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it won't be any lower than 9. So
It shouldn't be.
we're for sure bringing in a top 10 pick this year from the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to have all of their picks until 2027. And if I was a betting man, I'd bet to you that the Brooklyn Nets pick next year is going to be a lot better than the one this year. And this year was already top 10. I'm willing to bet we're going to see like a top 7, top 6 pick next season from Brooklyn Nets. So, like, man, it's about to get really, really scary. These guys are done at the right time. They're doing it, without even the full team on the court. And there's so many ways you can continue to improve this court, improve this roster. Like I said, there's draft picks. There's flexibility with contracts. Like there's just so many ways you can continue to flesh out this roster and build around this core six. And Ime Udoka, bro. And so like I'm really excited. I'm really proud of this team. I'm proud of the growth they've shown, and I put it out there today. I don't care what happens. What I'm saying? I don't think we're going to lose the rest of the games of the season, but we could call it right now. Season could end today, and I'd say it was a massive success. This is everything that I wanted from the Rockets this year, minus the injuries, of course. And so I think we took the right step to be where we need to be next season, and I'm proud of that. So yeah, that's it for me. Brad, you want anything before I shut it down?
That's it for me as well. I'm the same page as you. Same page as you. Next year is going to be really exciting. They have a lot of options, but most importantly, Adoka at the beginning of the season said it doesn't matter who we bring in. What's most important is the progression of the young core, and that's what we have seen. We have seen very, very, very bright spots from every single one of those 6 players on that young core this season. So give them another offseason together. Put them in that rotation next year. Don't get rid of a single one. That's obvious at this point. And we're going to run it back, and we're going to see what they can do. But I think it's going to be really fun to watch. That's all I got to say.
So, before I shut it down, I'll quickly plug the playback room. That is where we've been at every game day. I know people are like, why don't you do the post game spaces every day? We're gonna start doing the post game spaces on nights like tonight, where like something crazy happens. We don't doing them every single day was kind of there really wasn't a point to it.
Yeah.
But if you do want like I think the playback medium is a lot better for in terms of like breaking down the game and just kind of coming together as a community in the spaces anyway. So the playback room, Houston Live room, it's in both of our bios. If you go to the playback app or playback.tv on your browser, usually on game days it'll be on the front page. But if not, just like I said, just type in Houston Live room and it'll pop up there. Make sure y'all continue to tap in with the show. We appreciate the support y'all been showing us there on all the streaming platforms. On YouTube as well. And I think we'll see you guys next time. Thank y'all for listening to the show.
And we'll see y'all, man.